Hello and welcome to another episode of Exploring My Steam Library. Today we are playing Oxygen Not Included. So this is a game that I have played very briefly, I think, on my channel once before. And it's a building, dungeon crawler, colony management type game. We will jump into a new game. We're just going to go... you have two options. You've got No Sweat and Survival. No Sweat just makes the game a little easier, so if you're not, up to date with the game, if you're not 100% confident with it, you can go on this and have an easier time. Survival, as it says, the universe is harsh and unforgiving. You will lose more often than you will survive in this game, and it's very rare that you end up with a colony that is self-sustaining. But we'll go with survival. You can customize it, so even in sort of the harder mode, you can customize it so your immune system, mood, bonuses, stuff like that, how much they eat, their hunger, morale, so on and so forth. A lot of that won't make much sense until we actually get into the game. So now, you can also set your seed, so depending on the seed, if you want the same game world that I'm, showing you now, if you put that seed in the box, you will get the exact game map that I get. You won't get the same duplicates that I get, but you'll get the same game map. Okay, so to start a game, you get to choose 3 duplicates, and you can shuffle these as much as you like. I try to get... small bladder as the negative trait, because I don't see that as much of a negative, and the positive I don't really mind. But you can chop through these as many times as you like. As you can see, I've now got a small bladder there, and you get no sort of bad thing for doing this. It doesn't sort of punish you for trying to find really good duplicates to start with. We're just going to start with these 3. You can also rename your colony if you want, or you just have a random name. But we'll embark, and I will show you as much of this game as I can. There you go. So as you can see, you start with your 3 little duplicates in the centre of this big black circle, and not a lot to do. We've got pockets of water. Now, you need to manage the resources that your duplicates need to survive. Now, to survive, your duplicates need oxygen, hence the name Oxygen Not Included. Your duplicates need food, and they also need sort of their moods taken care of. Up here you can see how many colonists you have. Your colonist stress levels, so they all start at 5%. Your immune system for all your colonists, that starts as 100%, and as it goes down, they'll start getting sick and so on and so forth. Now, there's only 2 diseases, I think, in the game currently. Or, well, there's 2 sort of main illnesses. One is food poisoning, and one is slime lung. Food poisoning, not as serious. Slime lung can kill your duplicates. Your duplicates can also get things like hypothermia or heat stroke if they're in very cold or very hot environments, so you do have to be careful of that. Then you've got how many calories are available. So at the moment we start the game with 20 nutrient bars inside this little box. And as you can see, all of this is all the build menus. They're all greyed out. And they're all greyed out because I can build none of this stuff because I have no resources available. So if we go to this section, we can set our duplicates to start digging. And once our duplicates have dug some of this out, at each square of this they dig out will give me that material. So this will give me sandstone, digging this out will give me algae, and so on and so forth. And you use those materials to build with. So we'll go super speed. So, and as you can see, as we get the materials needed to build things, it's no longer greyed out. This one's still greyed out because we need raw metal. Now, there's many different types of metal. So we've got copper, there's gold, there's iron. At the moment, all I can see... Oh no, there's a tiny bit of iron there. But yeah. Now, each of these resources is used somewhere. So you do have to manage what you've got and where you use it, because if you use too much of a resource and run out, that could spell disaster. For example, if you run out of dirt, well, you need dirt to grow plants, and you need plants to feed your duplicants, so yeah, try not to run out of dirt. Now, there are ways to refine other resources into sort of others. So stone, for example, the sandstone, with a particular machine, you can make sand from that. And the sand you'll use to filter sort of polluted oxygen into good oxygen. Now, as you can see, this space has a set amount of oxygen. And at the moment, this oxalite is pumping oxygen into this space. So we don't have to worry too much about running out of oxygen for the moment. But that oxalite will run out. As it's pumping oxygen into the space, you can see the first set of numbers, the 177 at the moment, is going down. So every time it emits oxygen, the oxalite is used up very slowly, and eventually there won't be any oxalite. So you do have to be careful, and you do have to start producing oxygen in other ways. But the very first thing we need is an outhouse. Because our duplicants are going to need to go to the toilet at some point. And I would much prefer them to go sort of to the toilet where I choose, instead of just on the floor. Because I've not sort of dealt with it. Now, don't worry about digging up oxalite. It's preferable not to, but you can, and what it will do, it will just drop a chunk like this, and that chunk will continue to put oxygen into the atmosphere. Now, when you build toilets, it's also a good idea to have some wash hand basins. And wash hand basins will, as the duplicants use the toilet, they'll then wash their hands as they leave. This helps prevent food poisoning and things like that. However, the wash hand basins obviously need some water. So, let's put a water pump there. Now, obviously, our duplicants need to reach all of these things that we're trying to build. So we'll put a ladder in there, and we'll put a ladder in just there. We'll also need to dig out just there so we can reach all of that. Okay, unpause and get to it. Now, when you first start the game, survival is easier than sort of later on. Later on, you'll unlock lots of new technologies. You'll manage to get to the surface of this sort of place that we're in, and you'll be able to start sending rockets and all sorts of stuff. You've got to worry about fuel and power and so many other things. The game does get complicated, but it is amazing. Oh, that poor little creature is about to die because he's drowning. And there is nothing I can do about it, I'm afraid. So we only need them to wash their hands when they're leaving from the toilet. Now, the other thing that I would really like my guys to have is some beds. So we'll put 3 beds just there. Now, the toilets aren't in use yet because they need dirt, and we don't have any yet. So we'll dig through that oxalite and we'll reach this pile of dirt here. Now, as you can see, there's lots of different gases. So we've got carbon dioxide here. Now, your duplicants, as they breathe in oxygen, will breathe out carbon dioxide. There are ways of getting rid of carbon dioxide. So you've got, later in game, you'll research technologies which can turn carbon dioxide into polluted water and things like that. So it'll clear it from the air. You can also vent it into space. Because obviously, once you get up to space, gas will be sucked out into there. Next thing... Right, I'm going to need some metals. So let's extend this ladder straight up here. Now, as you can see, this is a vacuum just here. So there is no gas in this space. So as I break into it, it's going to suck some of the oxygen that we've got here up into this area. Oh, come on. Now, you can set your duplicate schedules up. You can have more schedules, and you can change it to how you want. So, for example, you can have someone working the night shift, someone working the day shift. Your duplicates only sleep for 3 hours a night, which is pretty good, to be honest. They have an hour bath time, so if you've got showers, they'll use them then. If you've got toilets, they'll use them then. Obviously, if they need the toilet, in their work hours, they will go and use it, but they prefer to try and get it done then. Obviously, in the work slots, they'll do whatever jobs they're assigned. You can, later on, once you've done some research, you can actually assign particular jobs to particular duplicates, and they'll prioritise that job over anything else. They also have downtime where they rest and relax, and they need that to help with their morale. And you need higher morale for different jobs. So, as I say, later on you'll be able to set jobs for particular duplicates, but higher tier jobs require higher morale. And if you don't have that morale, they'll start getting more and more stressed. And if they get too stressed, then they sort of have a little hissy fit. And each of them will have a different response to it. So, for example, let's look at you. It's in your bio. No. It is in here somewhere. So this duplicate is destructive. So when their stress gets above 60%, they won't repair anything. And if they actually have like a break, they will go around and smash some of your equipment. Not the greatest thing. You have destructive as well. Okay, that's bad. And you're a binge eater. So when this duplicate is stressed, they'll go into your food stocks and they will just overeat. They'll eat whatever they can get their hands on, which isn't that great. Right, let's build some tiles there, because our toilet's out of order because it's sitting on nothing at the moment. We've also now got some metal, so let's put a manual generator down, a battery, and connect those up. So the manual generator is just a big hamster wheel, basically. The duplicates will run on it to charge the battery up, as you can see. That's kind of cute. And then we can put a research station down, once again connecting it up with power. So this is pretty much how most bases will start in this game. You'll get, some beds set up, some toilets set up, and then a little bit of power to get your research station. Once that's been built, you'll see that this tab opens up at the top. And this is the research tree. As you can see, it's massive. When I first started playing this game, they had 2 lines of research. So it's gotten bigger over time. Now there's 3 research types. So you've got the blue, the red, and the orange. So the blue is done on the research table that we've just got. So we'll set jobs up to be the first thing that they research. The second research, this red, is done with this supercomputer. And the third research type, you have to go to space for. So you actually have to launch a rocket, get into space, and sort of bring some stuff back to start researching it. Cannot remember. Is it in here? No, they're all rocket modules. There's a particular... there it is. The virtual planetarium. So using this, I believe you unlock sort of the orange tier research. But you build this, send a rocket to space, the rocket comes back with sort of resources, and then that will be delivered there to make the orange research. But as you can see, I mean, most of the orange stuff is just to do with better rockets. Because you start with this little dinky steam rocket, which is kind of awesome. Launching a rocket into space with steam power. That's amazing. But then you get sort of solid boosters, and then you get sort of oxygen tanks and liquid fuel and so on and so forth. But we'll unlock that first bit of research. Now, research does take resources, so I think this research turns dirt. Yeah. They research dirt, and that gives them sort of research points. And as you can see, it slowly builds up over time. Now, if we look at our priorities, different people will be better at research than others. So Bubbles has a higher skill level in it. So I want Bubbles to be the one doing the research. Come on, Bubbles. And now it's downtime. Damn you. Now, I do have to worry about food. Now, food is researched up the top here. So we can build planter boxes, and from that we can start sort of farming. While you two aren't busy, because... Oh no, now it's night time. Damn you. Now, you do get new duplicates. Every 3 days, this printing pod will give you 3 duplicates to choose from. And you don't get to shuffle their skills this time, you just have to choose from one of the 3 given. If you don't want any of them, you can choose not to have them. So don't feel like you have to take them just because they're offered. Because sometimes you won't have the food requirements, or you won't have the oxygen production to sustain new duplicates. So as I say, just because they're offered, don't feel like you have to take them. I am very picky normally with what duplicates I take, because there's some really bad traits that you can get. So it's always better to be picky than to take everyone and then have duplicates die because you can't sort of keep them happy. Right. You keep digging, you two. Now, with priorities, you can do something similar to what you do with jobs. And that is sort of get them to do certain things over others. So if I really want everyone to dig more than research, I could do that. I could sort of up their... up that until it was higher priority than that one. But in this case, I want the research done quickly, so we'll leave you doing that for the minute. Now, this is definitely one of those games that I have spent a long time playing. I've got 350-ish hours in this game, I think. Ooh, so we've just finished the research. Lovely. And the game is still in early access, so it is being developed at the moment, which I think is amazing. The game has come so far from when I first played it, and the fact that they keep adding new things to it is just amazing. So as you can see, we've done that research now, and there's these little lines coming off it. So because we've done that research, we can now start on one of these. You can select, say, this research, and it will do all the researches in order to get to that. So, for example, say I want that research tree. Well, I need all of these done. So it will literally go, alright, well there's the first one, so we'll do that research first. Once that's done, it will go down and go, oh, we need that one, and then it will jump to that one, and so on and so forth. So that's a nice way of sort of just clicking on the highest tier research. you know, I really want this cryo bay, and just forgetting about it until all the research is done, or until you get to a point where the research can't be done. But yeah. But with that research, we got some new buildings. So we got a water cooler. This helps duplicants' morale. And we got a station. Or a jobs board, sorry. So we'll build that jobs board. Come on. But yeah, as I say, with the amount of time that I've got in this game, this is definitely up there in my top 10 games that I play. And it's in my favourites category, and I just keep coming back to it again and again, especially when there's an update. So now we've got the jobs board, we can click this tab or click the board itself and then hit jobs. And this is the jobs screen. So certain things require a certain job level to be either being completed by someone or having had that job complete before. So for example, with digging, and pretty much always tick that, that will set, so if we set Elise to be a digger, that will change this priority system to now make digging her top priority. But pull her off that for the minute. So say I want to dig out some of this material here. Well, you can see that it's got this little hat icon. And that means that none of my duplicants have the skills required to dig this up. So Colony lacks Apprentice Miner or a Seasoned Miner. So if we now go to the jobs board and set Bubbles, once Bubbles puts on this mining hat, you can see all of those little icons disappeared, because Bubbles is now capable of digging those out. However, that does come with the cost of, when you're at tier 0, which is unemployed, you need 0 morale, or +1 morale. When you're at tier 2, you now need +2 morale. Tier 2 is +4 morale, tier 3 is 8 morale, and as you can see, it just gets more and more and more. So you want to be careful when assigning duplicants jobs that you don't put them somewhere that they can't get the morale required. So for example, Bubbles is now complaining because she currently only has 1 morale, but the job she's doing requires 2 morale. So that doesn't stop her doing the job, but what it does do is while she's doing the job, will raise her stress levels. And now that I've assigned her that job and she's put on the hat and everything, even if I cancel her and put her back to unemployed, she'll still have the higher requirements. So the highest tier that she has been in, those requirements will still be with her. So if I assigned her to a research job, even if I immediately then assigned her to digging, she'd still have tier 2 requirements. So before you upgrade people, you have to be really careful that you can handle their morale requirements. But I think that's where we're gonna... Oh no, one last thing I want to show you is the room overlay. Now, different rooms have different effects. So if it's a miscellaneous room, then there's no effect. And all of these are basically just no rooms or miscellaneous at the moment. However, if they've got certain items in them, so for example, these 2 toilets and these 2 sinks, if I enclosed that with doors or walls or something, that would then count as a washroom. And a washroom gives a +2 morale to duplicants that use it. Sorry, no, it wouldn't be a washroom, it would be a latrine. So it'd give a +1 morale. So the rooms have a minimum and maximum number of tiles, and each square is one tile. And it'll also have requirements to what's in there. So, for example, the latrine needs a toilet, a wash station, no industrial machines, minimum size of 12, maximum size of 64. And if you fulfill all of those requirements, it will be coloured, whatever colour this is, and you'll get that bonus when duplicants use it. The same can be said for the bedrooms, the barracks, so on and so forth. And this is one of the ways that you can raise your morale to the point of being able to do those higher tier jobs. But that is the end of the episode, guys, so I hope you enjoyed Oxygen Not Included. Let me know if you want to see a series on this game. I do enjoy playing it. It can be a little slow, especially to just watch, because sometimes you really sort of sit there going, okay, how the heck does this work? But, as I say, if you do want to see a series, let me know. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I shall see you next time.